How did a small northern kingdom come to dominate the battlefields of Greece and Asia? The answer lies in a revolutionary military system forged by Philip II, the Macedonian Phalanx. More than just infantry, it was a combined arms masterpiece centered on the fearsome, long-speared phalanx and the elite companion cavalry. This is the anatomy of an ancient war machine. In our previous episode, we saw Philip II rescue Macedon from the brink of collapse and begin its transformation into a formidable power. Central to this transformation was his radical overhaul of the Macedonian military. Before Philip, Macedonian armies, while brave, were often ill-disciplined and inconsistently equipped, relying more on the valor of individual nobles than on cohesive tactical formations. Philip, drawing on his observations in Thebes and his own innate military genius, created a war machine that would prove virtually unstoppable for decades: the Macedonian Phalanx and its supporting arms. The traditional Greek way of war revolved around the hoplite phalanx. Hoplites were citizen soldiers, heavily armored infantrymen carrying a large round shield, aspis, or hoplon, and a shorter thrusting spear dory, typically around 8 feet long. They fought in dense formations, relying on a shield wall and a collective push. While effective, this system had limitations. It was relatively inflexible, struggled on broken ground, and its effectiveness depended heavily on the discipline and training of citizen levies, which could vary greatly. Philip recognized these limitations and sought to create something superior. The core of his new army was the infantrymen of the Macedonian Phalanx, the petsateros or foot companion. These were recruited not just from the nobility, but increasingly from the Macedonian peasantry, creating a truly national army loyal to the king. Philip armed his petsateroi with a revolutionary weapon, the Sarissa. This was a two-handed pike, typically 13 to 21 feet long, made from tough cornel wood, with a sharp iron head and a bronze butt spike. The length of the Sarissa was its defining feature. When the phalanx was arrayed for battle, typically 16 ranks deep, the Sarissus of the first 5 ranks projected beyond the front line, creating an incredibly dense and deadly hedge of spear points. An enemy attacking this formation faced multiple spear tips simultaneously, making it nearly impossible to close with the front-rank Macedonians. The rear ranks held their Sarissus at an upward angle, offering some protection from missiles, and their presence added weight and impetus to the phalanx's advance or defense. Each man carried a smaller shield, the pelta, slung on his left shoulder or neck, as both hands were needed to wield the Sarissa. They also wore helmets and often greaves, with a linothorax or cuirass for body armor, though this varied. This new phalanx was more than just longer spears. Philip drilled his men relentlessly, turning them into hardened professionals. They learned to maneuver in complex formations, to advance steadily over varied terrain, and to maintain cohesion under pressure. This discipline made the Macedonian phalanx far more adaptable than its southern Greek counterparts. But Philip understood that infantry alone, however formidable, could not win battles decisively. His true genius lay in his development of combined arms tactics, the integrated use of different types of troops. Alongside the petsateroi, he cultivated an elite corps of infantry, known as the hypaspists or shield bearers. These were better equipped than the regular phalangists, possibly with larger shields and shorter spears, making them more versatile. They could guard the vulnerable flanks of the phalanx, undertake special missions, or act as a flexible link between the infantry and cavalry. And it was the cavalry that formed the hammer to the phalanx's anvil. Philip inherited a strong cavalry tradition from the Macedonian nobility, who fought as the heteroi, or companion cavalry. He expanded and professionalized this force. The companions were heavy cavalry, armed with a shorter thrusting spear or lance, the xyston, a sword, and wearing armor. They rode the best Macedonian horses, renowned for their quality. Philip trained them to charge in a wedge formation, which was effective at breaking enemy lines. He often led the companion cavalry personally, sharing the dangers and inspiring their loyalty. Beyond these core elements, Philip incorporated other troop types. He raised light infantry, including javelin men, archers, and slingers, often recruited from allied or subject peoples like Thracians, Paunians, and Illyrians. These troops were vital for skirmishing, protecting the flanks, and harassing the enemy. He also significantly advanced Macedonian siegecraft, realizing that conquering the fortified cities of Greece and Asia would require more than just battlefield victories. He employed engineers and developed a siege train capable of taking down formidable walls using siege towers, battering rams, and catapults, artillery pieces like the Oxybelis bolt shooter and Lithobolos stone thrower. The tactical doctrine Philip developed was revolutionary. The phalanx, with its bristling sarissas, would fix the enemy in place, acting as a solid amble. While the enemy was pinned, the companion cavalry, often led by Philip himself, would seek a weak point or create one, delivering a decisive blow, the hammer, usually against the enemy's flank or rear. The hypaspists and light troops would support these main elements, protecting flanks, exploiting gaps, or pursuing a broken enemy. The impact of these reforms was immediate and profound. In his campaigns against the Illyrians, Paunians, and Thracians, Philip's new army consistently outmatched its opponents. When he later turned his attention south, the traditional Greek hoplite armies found themselves at a severe disadvantage against the longer reach of the Sarissa and the coordinated power of the Macedonian combined arms system. Battles like Chaeronea in 338 BCE would demonstrate the devastating effectiveness of Philip's creation. This military machine was expensive to maintain. It required constant training, high-quality equipment, and a professional officer corps. Philip funded this through the systematic exploitation of Macedon's natural resources, especially the gold and silver mines he captured and developed, such as those at Philippi. This wealth allowed him to pay his soldiers regularly, ensuring their loyalty and professionalism, a stark contrast to the often unreliable mercenary armies or citizen militias employed by other states. By the time Philip had consolidated his power and looked towards broader ambitions in Greece and even Asia, he possessed an army unlike any other in the world. It was a product of his vision, his meticulous attention to detail, and his profound understanding of warfare. This was the army Alexander the Great would inherit, a perfectly tuned instrument of conquest, trained to perfection, battle-hardened, and fiercely loyal. Philip II didn't just build an army, he forged a legend, a military system that would dominate battlefields from Greece to India, changing the face of warfare in the ancient world. The Macedonian Phalanx, backed by its elite cavalry and supporting arms, was the key to Macedon's rise, the engine that would power Alexander's unprecedented conquests. Catch you soon for the next episode, where we'll dive into the stories of the mystic queen and an ambitious mother. In the meantime, remember to take care of our beautiful planet and the people around you. Have an awesome day.